Alright everyone, welcome back to Modern Warfare 3, and officially the beta is behind us. The second weekend just ended. Let's talk about it. I made a video last week talking about the first weekend of the beta and the changes that we're going to make for the second weekend. Second weekend just ended, so let's talk about all those changes and where the game stands right now. Alright, so first things first, I want to say that I definitely thoroughly enjoyed the beta both weekends, and I'm pleasantly surprised and glad that is the way, because the last couple betas I've had a lot of negative things for, and in this beta I don't really have much. There are a few things, and we'll get to that later in the video, but I first want to start with the positive things like I did last video, and then we'll finish off with the few things that I think need to be tweaked or adjusted before the game fully launches in a little over 3 weeks. So the first thing I will say is, just like I said last weekend, the game feels really good to play. It feels like a COD. It has that arcadey feel that old CODs used to have. The gunplay is nice. The movement is good. I think they did tweak the slide delay. I mentioned it last week in the video for the first weekend. One of the negatives was that there was a delay when you slid. Right after you finish sliding to the tactical sprint again, you weren't able to. There was a delay, so they didn't take it away, but they shrunk that delay, and I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's good where it is, because I think there's going to be either gloves or there's going to be boots or something that kind of cancel that delay almost entirely. Right now there's still a little bit of delay, but it's very minimal, and it feels way better, and I think it's fine where it is. I think if you take it away completely, it will be too fast paced, so I feel like it's good right where it is, and that was a good adjustment. And that just makes the movement that was already really good just feel that much better. Another thing that they added in the second weekend, as you can see in the video in the background, is they added High Rise, which is an OG map from Modern Warfare. I mean, they all are OG maps from Modern Warfare 2, obviously 2009, Modern Warfare 2 2009. But yeah, they added High Rise. They also added Search and Destroy and Cutthroat, the 3v3v3 mode that they just introduced. I haven't actually had a chance to play the 3v3v3 mode. I did play a little bit of Search. It was pretty fun, but it was new experience for me, because back in Modern Warfare 2 2009, I didn't play Search. I didn't play Search until the new Modern Warfare 2 that we're still in right now, Modern Warfare 2 2022. That's when I played Search for the very first time, because in all those games beforehand, I was a Respawn guy. I just played Respawn. That's what I like to play. I never played, and I played Zombies. I didn't play Search. So playing these maps in Search and Destroy is a completely new experience for me, so it's hard for me to really give a judgment on whether it's good or not. I didn't play that much of it, and it's new to me because I didn't play it in Modern Warfare 2 2009, but from all accounts, from people who I watch, content creators who have played Search since then, it's 1,000 times better than Modern Warfare 2's version of Search, especially because of the perks. Obviously, again, Dead Silence being a perk, and not being a field upgrade, having your perks from the beginning and not having to wait to get your perks. So you can have Ghost, you can have all that stuff right off the bat. You don't have to wait for it. I think those things really improve Search specifically. They improve the whole game in general, but it really is a big impact in Search, because you're able to be more aggressive in Search. I find that in Modern Warfare 2 2022, Search plays a very specific way. It doesn't matter the map, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, if it's ranked, if it's not ranked, it doesn't matter. Search plays a very specific way, and it is, if you do not have Steady, you don't really move. You go to a certain spot, you stay there, or you crawl around super slowly. If you have Steady, you make an aggressive play, you flank, you run through a mid or whatever, but you need Steady to do that. And if you don't have Steady, you don't really move. So what tends to happen is the first few rounds, or at least the first round, is usually super slow. No one really moves. It's kind of passive. Everyone's passive, waiting for Steady. Then the second round, third round, it gets really hectic. People pushing, making crazy plays because of Steady. Then you have another little round where nothing really happens again because everybody's waiting for Steady to come back. And then it's the same. It's just a cycle, and it repeats itself. And it's not really a fun experience because you can't always do what you want to, right? There'll be many times when I'm playing Search in Modern Warfare 2 2022 where I'll see okay, this team, for example, on Mercado, I'll be oh, there are 4 in ranked, so it's 4v4. There are 4 stacking A building. They're just running there every time on offense, so I can flank through mid and I can get behind them and probably get free 1 to 2 kills easy, because they're just 4 stacking the building. No one's watching mid, no one's watching flank. But if I don't have Deddy, I can't make that play. Even though I see the opening, I can't do it. Because they will hear me coming and I will die. And I will not get the kills. So having a game where you have Deddy essentially all times because you're running Dead Silence, it frees you up to be more aggressive. And it quickens the pace of the game to a point that makes sense. Modern Warfare 2 2022 and Vanguard before it, and even though Vanguard was very fast paced, but it played weird even though it was fast paced because of the Deddy situation. Same thing with Modern Warfare 2019. It was a very slow game. The one exception was Cold War, because again in that game Deddy was a perk, it was not a field upgrade. And so I feel like I don't know why they wanted to. I mean, I know why. Again, I said in the last video, it's because they cater to a certain group of players, but having that in the game makes it so much better and makes search so much better specifically, and so that's one of the big things that they did in the game. But what I love the most was, like I said at the end of the last video, the fact that they communicated with the community. They were like, look, we're going to fix things that you said were an issue. The visibility thing they also adjusted. That's something I mentioned last video as well. It was sometimes hard to see operators, so what they did was now above every operator is their whole name on top and the little dot, and so that makes it a little bit easier to see. I think there's still a little bit of issues in terms of visibility. Sometimes you just can't see people sometimes, but it's definitely better with the name over it, and I'm confident they'll fix any of those issues before the launch, because it's just little tweaks here and there. It's nothing crazy. Other than that, though, the only real issue I have still going into the full release of the game, and I mentioned it last week, and I'm going to mention it again this week because it still is an issue and they haven't fixed it, is the spawns. The spawns are an issue. They're horrid. I mean, bad. For example, on High Rise right here, everyone basically spawns underneath, like on the underground tunnels on each side. And it makes no sense the way they spawn. Like you say you're playing Domination, right? You'll have 1 point over across. Like right now, if you watch the video, all the way across within those windows, there's going to be a point. There's going to be one right underneath you, and there's going to be one in the middle. You could have the one under you, the one in mid, and the other team will and they'll have the one on the other side, and the other team will still spawn in the tunnel right underneath where I am, where the point that would be our point is. It makes no, and then you'll spawn across on the other side on their point. It makes no, the spawns just don't make sense. And it's not just on this map. I think it's the worst on High Rise for sure. But I think every map the spawns just don't make sense. Like, especially Domination wise, they just don't make sense. Because like Hardpoint, spawns are weird on Hardpoint in every game because it depends on if the point is white, if the point is controlled by which team. There's a lot of variables for that. But for example, on Domination, there should be no reason for there to be any kind of confusing spawn. If you have a flag, you know, if you have one of the outside, like there's always a middle flag in the middle of the map, but there's always two on either side. If you have one of those, that's where you spawn. And if they have both, then you choose one of them for the other team to spawn so they can take the one. That's how Domination has always worked. And in this game, the spawns are so bad that it's impossible to really hold points in Domination because they're always going to spawn the enemy team on the point that you're holding. And so, especially on High Rise, I notice it the most on High Rise, but it happens on all the maps. It happens on Skid Row, it happens on Rust, it happens on Favela, it happens on all the maps. And it happens. The only one I don't notice it as much is on Estate, but that's because Estate's such a gigantic map, and that map I don't really like Estate anyway. I never did. I always thought it was not a great map, and because it's just so big, you never get into engagements, people camping everywhere. It's just not great. But that's the only one I really didn't notice it. Probably just because of the size of the map. But on all the other maps, the spawns were I mean, they were just all over the place, and that's gotta get fixed because that's gonna get old really. I mean, it got old in 2 weekends on the beta. In 6 days, it was the biggest issue, and you could go around anywhere. The community was talking about it, man. The spawns are a problem, and they need to be fixed before the launch. But I'm not that worried because in every beta, the spawns have been an issue. I remember in the Vanguard beta, which if you can go back and watch the video because I made a video on it, and in the Modern Warfare 2 beta too. The spawns were an issue in both of those as well. They were an issue. The spawns were not good and needed to be fixed, and they did fix those for the most part. In those two games, for all the faults that Vanguard had and all the faults that Modern Warfare 2 2022 has, the spawns are not really one of them. I mean, yes, there are still some questionable spawns sometimes. That's going to happen no matter how good the spawns are usually. But for the most part, spawns in both those games are pretty predictable. They've been in most Call of Duties, but for some reason the betas, they're horrible. I don't know if it's because they make it that way on purpose, so you have more engagement, you see more of the map, you experience more of the game, and you don't really let anybody have that experience of getting spawn trapped. Maybe that's the strategy, but the spawns are a problem and need to be fixed before the launch. For sure, they are an issue. But overall, I feel like the beta was a huge success. I mean, for me, it's a 9 out of 10 beta, which is a huge improvement on Modern Warfare 2 2022. For me, that was like a 4, 5 out of 10 beta maybe. And Vanguard was even further down than that, probably like a 3 or 2. I remember in Vanguard, there were certain maps where you just could not, I mean, the sun was blinding. If you were aiming any kind of angle anywhere other than straight or down, if you looked any kind of angle up, you just could not see, and it was awful. So in my opinion, this game already is probably the best COD. If it released right now as the beta, in the same condition as the beta, it would be the best COD since Modern Warfare 2019, and maybe better than Modern Warfare 2019. Because that's how much better this game is than those already. So I'm really excited for when this game drops. You know you're going to get videos. You're going to get videos when the campaign drops the week before. So, you know, if you want to see those videos, drop a like, subscribe, hit that little notification bell because I post pretty much every single day. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.